With Avodah Zarah Daf, Mem Aleph and Mur Aleph, second wide line. And we're going to talk about the fact that we know Avodah Zarah is a sword for benefit. Now, are we able to change that status? Are we able to make it that it's eligible for benefit by nullifying Bitul, Mivatel, the Avodah Zarah's status? So let's see. Hamotze Shivre Salamim. Someone finds pieces of image of Avodah Zarah. Halal Mutrin and Mutar must be broken and therefore nullified. However, מצא תבנית יד ותבנית רגל, if you found the figure of a hand or a figure of a foot, הרי אלו אסורים, it's אסור, מפני שכיוצא בהן העבד, because people worship these type of things, we'll explain in the Gemara. אמר שמואל, אפילו שברי עבד חכמים, even if you find pieces of עבודה זרה, is also מותר. The Gemara says, ואנא נתן שברי סלמית. Kind of like only images, pieces are okay, not pieces of עבודה זרה. Gemara says, no, هو دين אפילו שברי עבד חכמים, even pieces of an idol. והרתן שברי סלמית, why mention specifically images? משום דקבעי ממתן הספר, because the next part of the Mishnah teaches you, מצא תבנית יד ותבנית רגל, הרי על אסורים מפני שתתן, we want to teach about the foot and hand, that is אסור. Okay, now, מצא תבנית יד ותבנית רגל, mention the hand or foot. How do you assume they're assuming because they are worshipped? The Gemara says, "Am Well, what do you mean? What's going on over here?" The shiverim, we said if it's broken, it's broken. There's mutar. If it's a, if it's a foot of an idol, then it's mutar because obviously it broke. The Gemara says no. Shmuel is talking about a case. This is a son. Shmuel says the Mishnah talking about a case where the hand or foot idol is on its own pedestal, which means this is the entire idol. It's not a piece of a bigger idol. This is the idol, and they're bowing down to the figure of a hand or foot. It's more. Regarding an Avodah Zarah that broke by itself. All right, fell off something, for example. Rabbi says that's for benefit because it wasn't nullified. Rabbi Shimon says okay. Rabbi Yochanan says asur dehala batla because the goy did not make it nullified. A Jew cannot nullify it. But the goy didn't do it. It happened by itself. Rabbi Shimon says mutar. Mistama batli mevatli because maybe if the goy probably had in mind to nullify it once he saw it breaking because why mimma amra he said to himself because he says to himself this Avodah Zarah fell off the balcony by itself. He couldn't save himself. He's going to save me, and therefore the goy uh, knew is being nullifying it. Okay. Actually, is a question. Rosh, Dagon ushte kapot of kirutot. So when the Aron was captured by the Philistine and they took it, they hid it by themselves in their sanctuary, and their Avodah Zarah fell and broke as punishment. And what happened? The hands, the head, and the palms of Avodah Zarah lay on the threshold of the floor. Ukti Pasuk says, "Al ken lo yidechum kohane Dagon." That's why the priest of Dagon, of the Avodah Zarah, never went on the threshold because it landed there. Remember, says 1 second. If it landed there, but it's a piece, I thought we said pieces they don't care about. Pieces of Avodah Zarah is nothing. Why would they worship that part of the ground just because the pieces of Avodah Zarah landed there? It should be nothing. The Gemara says, no, Malo. Misham Raya, you can't bring proof from there. Hatam over there. The Plishtim abandoned Dagon, the idol of Dazra, the Audin at Maftan, they worshiped the floor. Because it said, Shavke Isran Dagon, the master, the god, abandoned Dagon, but he must have settled himself on the floor, the threshold. That's why he worshipped the threshold. Okay, fine. Etfe, another question. Hamote Shivne Shlim is going down pieces of image that are mutar. Hashivne the him is sounds like pieces of an idol. Asur. Question against Rish Lakish. He says mutar. Inference from the Mishnah. The Gemara says not a proof. Latina Shivne Hatzalim Mutrin Stama Krib Mir. No. Fine. He says, don't say that. Our Mishnah is not it's not implying that pieces of an idol is asur. Rather, you say that the tzalim themselves are asur. The images themselves are asur, and we hold our Mishnah is anonymous, and therefore it follows according to the mayor, who would also hold that if it broke in pieces, it would be asur. Okay. Yochanan, according to Yochanan. In the fact that from the Al-Asab of Meir, we can figure out Hachamim, meaning Rish Lakish, Hachamim hold like Rish Lakish that you're able to benefit from the pieces of an Avodah Zarah that broke by accident. Lav Rabbi Meir, but Rameir not, Rameir didn't, because from how do we know that? Because Rameir himself didn't say Samim Masrin that the pieces of the Avodah Zarah Images are asur. Shevaslim mutarin. Therefore, the pieces of an image is mutar. So meaning even though the images themselves are asur, but the pieces of the image is mutar. لما كنت نعمل صوته عدد as well. هي أسرع إتسر شبراء متونين but the pieces are mutar. ريخنا seemingly, how do you say that the pieces of an image are asur? Pieces of an Avodah Zarah is asur rather. The Gemara says, actually, you can't compare. Hatam, in the case of the pieces of the image, Emmar Avadum in Murda Avadum. Maybe they worshipped it, maybe they didn't worship it. Even if you want to say they worshipped it, maybe they got nullified it. And therefore, since we're in doubt, therefore, it's mutar. Avodat Chachamim Devaday Avodah, but regarding the piece of Avodah Zarah, where they definitely worshipped Avodah Zarah, Miyemar de Batla, can you say for sure he nullified it? Hasafek Hadai. That's the case of something that's certain positively happened and something we're not positive that happened. Safek Vadai. Something we're positively sure that happened and something that we're in doubt that happened. Then Safek Motzi Min De Vadai, and something that's in doubt doesn't take out something that for sure happened. Right? So we're saying, what we have a maybe and we have a for sure. The for sure is that this thing was worshipped. Avodah Zarah. The maybe is maybe it got nullified. That doesn't take away the status of Hesat that's Avodah Zarah. Gemara says, hold up. Wait a minute. The end Safek Muslim B'Devagai. But something that is in doubt doesn't take out something that's in for sure. Right? Something that's uncertain won't take out the certain item. By the time it says, Haver Shemed Niach Megura Min Aperot. If a Talmid Chacham passed away and left a storage house full of fruits, and we don't know if he took off Terumah from those fruits, Afilu Hen B'nei Yaman, even if they're fresh from that day that he died. Harehen B'Heskat Mutafinim, we can assume that they took off Terumah. We don't have to take off again before, afterward. Even we assume that he took it off before he died. The Gemara says, now let's see. What's the thing over here? This fruit is definitely chayav in teruma. It's teva. No one will argue with that. At one point, the second this thing grows, it is chayav in teruma, and therefore, safek asrinu safek lo asrinu. Well, what's the safek? We're for sure this thing was in status, or as British say, in status of being tevel. No teruma taken off. It needs to be taken off. What is the uncertainty? The uncertainty is if the Tamil Hacham took off Tirma before he passed away. Vikaati, and what do we say? We say that even though we're uncertain, we can assume. So we see uncertainty can uproot the for sure. The positive. Safek can uproot the vadai. Kumar says that's not a proof. Hatam vadai vadayu. No, you're looking at it wrong. Both cases are certainties. How? The Vadai Astinu is because we assume that Tamil Hacham took off Teruma. Certainly. Tamar Rabbi Hanina b'Chazal, like he says, Hazaka l'chaver b'Hazaka Ami Tamil Hacham. She'enu mosim davar she'enu min tekuna me'achadido. He'll never release anything that's not complete from his hand. Meaning, he won't allow this to happen. The second he has tevel, take off Teruma, and therefore, if he passes away that day, you have fresh fruits, you can assume he took off Teruma. And that's why it's not, oh, we're not sure if he took up Truma. We look at it as if he for sure took up Truma. And therefore, it is no longer Tevel. It is for sure to for sure. Mark says, and if you don't like that answer, I got another one. Maybe with him a different answer. Safek Safeku. It's also the case in Safek. Because why? You took it for granted that you said that it's Tevel and Chayav and Truma. Not for sure. Not every fruit can be Chayav Truma right away. If Shar Da'amar, because maybe he did as follows. Could it be Arshela? He said, he says, a person can do a little trick with his grain. He could bring it into his house with it covered in its husks in the shell. He'll bring it in as animal feed. And that way, because it's not his food, because it's not meant for himself, it's just meant to be animal fodder. Therefore, he's patur from Turman. So therefore, it's no. Don't even look at it that it's for sure tevel. Maybe he brought it in a non-tevel status, and therefore another safek can uproot it. The Gemara says, "V'en safek medivdai." Okay, new question. Uncertain things don't take away from positive things, right? I'm going to switch to Hebrew now only. So, a safek, uncertain, a doubtful item can take away something that's for sure that happened. But it says, remember, there's an incident regarding a maidservant, regarding to a mafia guy in Rimon, that she saw that they saw that the maidservant threw a stillborn child into the pit. Now, what's the problem? We don't know if that child is a boy or girl. Uba Kohen Vetzis. Now, Tamir Hacham was a Kohen, came to check over the pit. to see whether or not it was a boy or girl, to see how long this shifcha will be tameh for. Because depending on how long, depending on a boy or girl, is the different types of tum'ah for a woman, mother. Now the question is, he didn't see anything inside. Question is if he's tamana. Obama says that Tehru they say he's talking about tower. Because they have weasels and polecats and leopards that go in the pit and might have taken away the carcass of the baby, but I mean, and therefore we can assume that the baby wasn't there anymore. Even though maybe you could say that, and we're assuming that instead of saying maybe the coin just couldn't see it. So what do we say? The Gemara says, let's present what's going on. Divadai Hatila Nefel from our case, obviously, where the slave woman she threw the baby into the pit. Safek Geruch Vasek Neru. Now, what's the doubt? The doubt is whether or not it got taken away by an animal. And we see from here that the uncertainty of the body being taken away still takes away the for sureness of the Kohen leaning over the pit of a corpse. And that's how he's tahor, because the uncertainty takes away. So we see uncertainty can uproot Badai. Rosh is not approved. Lotema Hetila Nefila the board, don't not necessarily because the Barta doesn't say that she for sure threw the stillborn child into the pit. Ella Emma Hetila Kimi Nefila board. We're not sure what she threw into the pit. It looked like she threw a stillborn child into the pit, and therefore it could have just been the rest of a. Uh, it could have just been like the amniotic sac, for example, without a fetus. The Gemara says, "Va'ala de'al im zachar nekeva kati." 1 second. Katani, but 1 second. You can't say that necessarily because it says if you're checking if it's a boy or girl. That means he saw a baby, no? Or it says, no, not necessarily, no, no. Hachi Kumar, you can explain as follows. Leda imruah hepila im nefel. First of all, he was checking if the mother had dropped in the amniotic sac, empty, or the child. V'im teslamar nefes, but if you want to tell me that it was the stillborn child, leda im zachar nekeva, then he was checking to see if it was boy or girl. And that's why he's tahor. Because they're both uncertain. Uncertain trap, therefore uncertain tuma, and therefore uncertain tower. Because it also could have been dragged away. Mercy, but the minute answer as well, similar answer, similar format as before. Since we could say that since the weasel and the polecat and leopards are in the pits a lot, you could assume for sure, certainly they got dragged out, and therefore he's, even though you could say, even if it was certainly in there, you could also say certainly it was taken out, and that's why he's tahor. Actually, I have a question according to Rish Lakish. If you found a hand or a foot idol, how did that know asur? Because they are worshipped. Amai, why are they asur? Hashvarim no they considered broken. And according to Rish Lakish, to be mutar. The is not a question. How to take about Shmuel? We mentioned before that you can answer like Shmuel. It was talking about a case where it has its own pedestal, therefore it's its own idol, and not a broken piece. Another question. Etzeveh. We're going to pick on Rish Lakish for a while now. A goy can nullify his own Avodah Zarah, and another goy's Avodah Zarah. Right? So Joe, the Avodah Zarah man, the goy can be nullifying his Avodah Zarah and the Avodah Zarah of his friend Shmuel. But a Jew cannot nullify the Avodah Zarah of a goy. Am I? Question is why? Why can't a Jew nullify the goy? Make it, at least equate it to the case of the thing that broke by itself. The same way a goy gives up on his idol if it broke by itself, so he should also give up an idol if a Jew broke it. The Gemara says, "Amar Abaye shepeh." There's not about a case where it only got dented, not a breakage. The Gemara says, what's the difference? Vatanam Mishnah says, Pistachayev, the goy dented his own idol, even if he didn't break a piece off, Bitla is nullified. So we see the denting is also considered nullification. The Hakam doesn't work. The Gemara says, ultimately, the goy dented the idol. If a Jew did it, Lo Batla is nullified. But if Amar Abbas is a different answer, completely. Really, if a Jew dented it or cut it, it's nullified. So what's going on? Why do we differentiate? We have a decree. Dilma mikbehele b'hatam v'atila, because we're worried that the Jew will pick it up to nullify it. Once he picks it up, he acquires it. And once a Jew acquires Avodah Zarah, once a Jew acquires Avodah Zarah, he can never nullify it. deeper message. A person has his own Avodah Zarah, a Jew has Avodah Zarah, very hard to get rid of it. Whatever that is for a person, that's what it is. So really, Rava holds, so we're going to mention Rava a few times, that yeah, Rava holds that technically a Jew can nullify it, but we don't want him to because then he might acquire it in the process, and then he's big boo-boos. Actually, another question is Shakita, what kind of if a non-Jew, if a goy brought stones from Markulis was Avodah Zarah that they used to throw stones at it. So he brought stones from the Avodah Zarah, and what did he do? And he paved the road with it. Mutaroto stones are able to be benefited. He'll allowed to lose a road because he demeaned his Avodah Zarah by putting it into the floor. בישראל, a Jew, שהביא אבנים מהכליס וחיפה בהן דרכים תרעות, אסורות. But if a Jew used those stones to pave a road, they're asur. You can't use the road. Why? They have Avodah It'll be the case of where it broke. Equate it to the case of it broke. Should be mutar. That's okay. Just like if it had broken. Remember, says same answer for Achnamik that like Rava said earlier. The Gzera. Etzve, Avet if a goy who shaved off the chips of a Avodah tree for his own needs. He wanted a piece of the tree to pick his teeth. He v'shipuhem mutarin the tree and the pieces are mutar for benefit because he nullified it. The Torah if he shaved the tree for its needs to make the tree more beautiful or whatever it is. He asura the Avodah the trees are sore, v'shipuhem mutarin but the pieces are mutar because he didn't want it on the Avodah He nullified it. But Israel, in the case of a Jew, who took off chips of a tree, ben letzorko ben tzarka, whether or not he wanted it or for the Avodah Zarah's needs, he v'shipo asrin they both asur. And the Gemara says, "Amai, why? It should be mutar. He equated to the case where it broke by itself. It should be mutar." The Gemara says again, same answer. That is a gizera. Etiv, another question. Rabbi Yosef Merita says, "Shohek v'zoreh leruach." A person can grind up a metal idol that he finds. He can take the idol, grind, and throw it into the wind. Put it in the ocean. Amrul Hamim said, Afhina says Zevil. That's probably not good because that could become fertilizer for something. And why is that a problem? It says, nothing shall be part for you. Nothing should be used for you. Why is that a problem? It's treated like an Avodah Zarah that broke by itself, and therefore it should be mutar. The Gemara says the same answer. It is a gzera. It's a question. Matzah surat derakon. Someone found the image of a dragon. Virosho hatuch, and the head was cut off. Safek ovet ha'imatacho. Safek Yisrael hatuch. We're not sure if a Jew or a goy cut it off. Mutar to mutar. V'day Yisrael hatacho. A Jew cut it. Asur it's asur because it's not nullified. The Gemara says, "Adamai, why?" To have it equate it to as if it fell off by itself, and if you mutar, why make the difference? The Gemara says, same answer before. Same answer about we are making a decree. We don't want it to happen that the guy accidentally acquires it first.